Hi guys, Big Apple here, another video. Today, going to talk about first responders, and this probably go against what most of the public thinks, but hey, I'm me, who cares? Who does the public see as first responders? Well, typically, it's law enforcement and EMS because they're the ones that are responsible for helping the public out, or generally helping the public out every day. So while they're greatly respected, they're not rightfully named. They often arrive to write reports and tend to the injured. They're not first responders because they're not immediately involved in the incident. So, incident happens, man gets stabbed, wallet taken, all that stuff, whatever. Well, these first responders are going to get there after the crime has already happened, and it's going to already have occurred. Guy's already going to be injured, whatever. And they're only going to be able to band-aid a wound. They're not going to actually be able to prevent the incident from happening because they aren't necessarily the first responders. They are the ones there after the event happens. So who are the true first responders? Well, that's you and me. And while police and EMS do a great job, we're there first by choice or not by choice. But what I suggest to everyone is to just do something. Use your best judgment, but just do something. I guess I should get into that. Okay, so armed or unarmed, it doesn't really matter. Whether it's defending an innocent or tending to an injured, step in. Society tells you to stay in your own bubble. Risking lawsuit or injury, we tend to flight rather than fight. So society may tell you to leave, to not be necessarily a vigilante and to leave people alone and to do this and that. And while I don't see myself as a police officer carrying one of these, I do see me as a responsible individual that should help an innocent person that's being overpowered or being injured or being hurt, because I have a tool to equalize and de-escalate that situation. It doesn't necessarily mean I have to use it. If, like in Michigan happened recently, man was driving his car down the road and saw a woman being beat by a large man. This guy, former Marine, steps out and he's carrying. He steps out and he tells the man to stop and and notifies him firmly to stop. And the man kept beating him, and then the man started to challenge him, and he said, you better leave me alone, or something along those lines. And I think he may have actually even notified him that he was armed, and the guy still didn't believe him. So he drew down on this guy, and the guy stopped attacking the woman and walked away, but without even firing a shot, he completely de-escalated that situation. The man either ran or was apprehended by police, being held at gunpoint, something like that. But the man stopped an incident in progress. This man could have beaten this woman to death. She might not even be here if it wasn't for this former Marine. So he did a good deed by carrying an equalizing tool like a firearm. He was able to de-escalate the situation without even having to use lethal force. So when being confronted by a situation like that, usually you have fight or flight. So if you can avoid the incident, do it. I mean, if you're by yourself and you can see things unfolding, then you can do something to avoid it. So like I say, situational awareness. Most events can be seen unfolding if you just pay attention. It doesn't necessarily feel right, then get out of there. So if you're walking by yourself down a dark alley, trying to go somewhere, you're walking away from your car, and you look back and you see three guys kind of quickly fanning out across a parking lot trying to come in your direction. Obviously, they're not gonna come up and prank you, or they're not gonna come up and, hi, nice to meet you. They're obviously doing something they shouldn't be doing. So rather than putting yourself in that situation in the first place and risking having to use this, just avoid the situation and get out of there. It's not worth the trouble. It's not worth your life. So I have de-escalate if possible. So if you can't get out of the situation, next thing you should try to do is de-escalate it. So remain calm and firm. That's always good too. You don't want to throw out a bunch of racial slurs. You don't want to use a bunch of curse words, but you want to be firm. You could. What I usually suggest doing if somebody is trying to challenge you or just not making you feel good, or if they have a knife out or something like that, is you demonstrate to them that they shouldn't mess with you. So typically what I would do is put my hand on my firearm behind my back and, something along the lines of, look, dude, leave me alone. I don't want any trouble. We can go our separate ways and this whole thing will be over. And that's actually what I say next. So although some people tell you not to, do you notify if you're armed? Personally, I may, depending on the situation. So if I see me telling a guy, hey dude, I have a pistol, you don't want to mess with me, if I see that as a method of de-escalating the situation, I would absolutely do it, especially if it involved my friends or my family or anything else. I don't have kids yet, so that's not an option. But regardless, if me notifying this person doing me a misdeed, if I'm armed, if that would actually help to de-escalate the situation, I would absolutely do it. Doesn't matter if your cover's blown, because this guy is threatening you. He's threatening your well-being, threatening those around you's well-being. Who cares if you tell him if you're armed? I mean, you think this guy, who's probably a career criminal, is going to go and notify police? Hey, this guy told me he was armed. It really doesn't matter. You can say whatever you want. So if your life is on the line, submitting is rarely the best choice. So if you can't de-escalate the situation and it keeps getting worse, then submitting is hardly ever good. Like they'll say, give them what they want, do this, do that, and all you're really doing is encouraging that type of behavior by giving them what they want. You need to show some sort of resistance. Obviously, if you're completely unarmed and there's nothing you can do, that may be your only option. But that's rarely your best choice. So I say if it's a wallet, $100 bill, it's your choice because it belongs to you. And what I mean by that is, if someone's threatening your life and says, hey man, give me your wallet, or do this, do that, well, they've already threatened your life, so who knows what they're going to do even after you give them your wallet. They could shoot you and run away, they could shoot you right there, they could take it and leave you alone, who knows. But they have already demonstrated that they're willing to take your life, to take whatever it is that's yours that they want. So it's up to you if you'd rather just say, yeah, here's my wallet, leave me alone. If you'd rather say, no, I don't want to give you my wallet, I work hard for my money, that's completely up to you because it belongs to you. What right do they have to that property? And I also say it's your responsibility to protect yourself and your loved ones. It's not up to police. So you are the first responder to you. You don't wait for a second responder to come show up. You need to show resistance at the first sign of trouble if you feel it's in your best interest. So if you're permitted, carry 24/7. I see people get concealed carry permits all the time, and they don't even carry. They say, well, if I'm going into a bad area, I'll carry or do this and do that. Trouble does not make appointments. Typically, a lot of crimes happen in areas that are deemed as good areas. It's sometimes rare, or it surprises people. Wow, this is usually a good neighborhood. This doesn't happen here. Well, people will come from the bad neighborhoods and rob the people that are good because they know that the people that are good are not desensitized to the violence that these, career criminals see on a daily basis. They know that they can go there and they know they're easy targets. That's actually another reason that mass killers target gun-free zones in schools and stuff. But that's another topic. So maintain your situational awareness, be a sheepdog, and also represent the CC community well. We play a role in how the public perceives concealed carry. So what I mean by that, if you conceal every day and you're constantly on edge threatening people all the time, well, a lot of people are going to think you're a loose cannon and say you're mentally unstable and you don't need a concealed carry permit, whatever. If you're quick to draw your weapon, you're also going to be seen as hot on the trigger, ready to kill somebody. Represent the whole concealed carry community well and be responsible. Use your best judgment, be responsible. If you feel like you can do something and step in and help a situation get better, then do something. But then again, if it just doesn't feel right to you, if you don't want to get involved, that's also completely up to you. But I hate feeding the mentality that you shouldn't do anything because society tells us not to. So use your best judgment. If you're permitted, carry daily, be responsible. This is Big Apple signing out.